Hey YouTube, Renee here again. This time with one of my most prized pipe collections. Now, before I get into it, disclaimer here. These pipes are not valuable in the sense that they are, you know, Dunhills or, you know, Ardor or Radice pipes or anything like that. No, these pipes are nothing along those lines. Okay, so be prepared to, if you do not know this line, be prepared to be bored. Simply because, this is nothing that you're going to see out there that's super valuable. They really aren't. But these are CPF KBMB Chesterfield pipes for the most part. For those of you who have never heard of the CPF, the Colossus Pipe Factory, that is is believed to have been a pipe manufacturer during the 1800s that was pretty much taken over, bought out by the KBMB Pipe Factory, KBMB, Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, and by I would say 1890s, CPF was no more. KBMB was the sole provider of CPF pipes, at least the lines. No longer under the CPF logo, now under the KBMB logo. But that is what these are, and that is what this collection is about. Most of these pipes I bought for maybe $20, $30, in relatively horrible condition. I've since then I've restored them somewhat, and if I were to sell them today, they'd be worth $20 to $30. So they're not pipes that are really worth anything, as far as brand name goes. History wise, on the other hand, historically, I think these pipes are priceless. At least they are for me, and that's why I collect these type of pipes. Now, one of the things that have intrigued me about these pipes, of course, is their age. And like I said, these are from the 1800s, literally from the late 1800s. Some of these were made back then. Some of them probably were not, but I mean, put it this way: CPF made these pipes during the 1800s. KBMB made these pipes after they took them over in the late 1800s, in about 1890 or something like that. But by 1920, maybe 1930, KBMB stopped making the line, stopped making Chesterfield pipes, and that was it. That was pretty much the end of that. So, whether they're from the 1800s to the early 1900s, they're still very old pipes. Now, one of the things that is intriguing about collecting this kind of pipes is the simple fact that what you find out there nowadays, and by the way, these are not ultra rare pipes, okay? They're not super rare to find now. You find these pipes all the time, as a matter of fact. I bought all these pipes off of eBay. They come up, every so often. They're not ultra rare. What is rare is to find a complete pipe that is not made with spare parts. That right there, I think, is the challenge. And some of these pipes, for me, that I purchased, I was under the assumption that I was going to get a complete pipe, an original pipe, and when I got the pipe, it wasn't. But considering the age of the pipe itself, I didn't make that big of a deal. So let me just show you guys what I have here, and as I show you these pipes, I will, tell you a little bit about how the pipe, I believe, came to be. One of the things I guess, that would be feasible to, say is that if the Kaufman Brothers and Bondi pipe factory took over the Colossus pipe factory at some point, they would have had to have taken over and bought out their entire stock, their entire inventory. So as people kept asking for the CPF pipes, especially the Chesterfield pipe, which I believe is probably one of their most famous one, KB&B would have had to have marketed it as, letting the public know, hey, you can still buy the CPF Chesterfield pipe, here at KB&B, because we're the ones carrying it now. And that's what they would have done, I'm sure. And while they started producing the Chesterfield pipe, which is one of the earliest versions of a system pipe, a Peterson, system pipe, while they would have, carried the line themselves, making the line themselves, they would have, I'm sure they would have used the inventory that was already available to them. It only made sense. As much as when you say, you could also say that some of these pipes, the previous owner probably had a whole bunch of CPF pipes back in their day, and over the years, whether it was him or the family members who kept his old pipes, old grandpa's pipes, great grandpa's pipes, they were just put together in pieces, whatever piece fit, and that's how I came to have these kind of pipes. It's not really known, but either way, you're still dealing with old pipes and bits and metal rings and what have you. So first off, is this huge Chesterfield pipe. Now this one, as you can see, says Chesterfield, but it has the KB&B logo, which is their trademark three-leaf clover, which, by the way, you still find a lot of these. For those of you who don't know, the KB&B, Kaufman Brothers and Bondi factory, were the ones who eventually created K. Woody yellow bowl pipes, and that's what you find a lot of these days. You find a lot of early K. Woodies and yellow bowls with the KB&B logo, the Kaufman Brothers and Bondi logo right there. So this is a Chesterfield pipe with the Kaufman Brothers and Bondi logo, but the bit says CPF Chesterfield on it. Now, this is one of those prime examples that you could say, well, this is either a pipe that was put together by the people who sold it, the previous owner, or that's the way he bought it from the factory. Brand new. It was Chesterfield pipe, that was being made now by Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, but it has a CPF logo because CPF was the company that they took over. And I think it's feasible to say that, definitely. Either way, this is the biggest pipe that I've been able to find that is the Chesterfield. Now, as you can see from the restoration that I did, it's not really that much of a restoration. It's more of a cleaning. And that's because, trying to fix all this is almost next to impossible. It can be done, but that's just too much restoration. And the simple fact is, what you're really getting rid of when you completely restore these pipes is you're getting rid of the history that they carry nowadays. That's what you're getting rid of. So, I don't know, at least in my opinion and to my liking, I don't like to do that. I'd rather just clean them up as much as possible. Now, this here is another, this is a simple pipe that was sold to me as a Chesterfield pipe, but of course it's not. This is a KB&B Rocky Briar pipe with the KB&B logo and an early bit, a really early bit. I want to say that this might just be a CPF bit because of that logo there, but I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. At any rate, like I said, I got the pipe for very little money, and I thought, it's an old pipe. I'm gonna keep it, so I didn't make too much of a fuss. Now, speaking of KB&B, and this is one of the things that I want to show you, is this one here. This is what this confirms to me that the Colossus Pipe Company did exist, and it was a company that was taken over by KB&B. This is a Chesterfield pipe, KB&B logo, and this has the KB&B Chesterfield bit on it. So this is a KB&B Chesterfield. This pipe here is a Chesterfield pipe that KB&B was making, even though the Chesterfield pipe belonged to CPF. This pipe here is another pipe that was sold to me as a Chesterfield pipe, but as you can see, it's an Overland CPF pipe, but the bit says Chesterfield. Unfortunately, this probably is a pipe that was solid rubber. This is probably a pipe that was sold by the owner, and it was put together by the owner. He had several CPF pipes. You know, the original stem, the original bit broke on this pipe, so he just replaced it with this one that fit. And this is what I got. But either way, you know, Overland is not a line that I've ever heard by CPF. So I decided to keep it. I didn't make that big of a deal either. And, you know, it's got the Chesterfield bit on it. That is definitely a pipe that was not produced by anybody. It was it was put together by someone. Now, this, on the other hand, is one of my best examples of an actual CPF pipe. Chesterfield CPF, and a CPF bit. This right here, in my opinion, confirms the simple fact that there was CPF pipes before they were Kaufman Brothers and Bondi, and it wasn't just a line that the Kaufman Brothers and Bondi was selling under the CPF name. This is, as you can see, has no markings of KB&B. Quite possibly a really, really old pipe. And speaking of old pipes, this here is again a Chesterfield CPF pipe with a CPF ring and an actual CPF bit. This here is an old pipe simply because it's such a small bit, such a small pipe. And the restoration that went on this one was, it was hard to restore this one because I could not, it was completely destroyed, literally. This here, this wood was underneath years and years of grime. So for me to get here took a lot, and for me to take off as much as I could, it was painful because I knew what I was taking off was the history that this pipe was telling. So I left as much of the damage that it had as I could, because the damage is what tells the story of this pipe. You know, that's what, you know, these markings are. These markings are where, you know, whoever smoked this pipe would just hit it on a stone wall. It didn't matter, you know. Back then, it was a a pipe was utilitarian. It wasn't a collector's item. Now, as you can see, this bit has this hole right through it. This hole is actually was made by the company itself, and it was done because this was a clencher. This is where you clenched your pipe. This was made not by the person who chewed it up. This is the way he got this pipe, and it was made to clench. And these markings here, I don't know if he made them or not, but these were made so you could stand the pipe up. This is quite possibly one of the oldest pipes I have, one of the best pipes I have. And I love it. It's an absolute charm. It's a small pipe, but I mean, you know, this tells a story, complete story. And there you have it, guys. this is my collection of CPF pipes. This is another bit that, you know, I just got. I'll tell you a story about that later. But anyway, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this brief little history on CPF pipes. And as always, comadres, thank you for watching, if you still are. Y vayan con Dios.